Anybody else have a procrastination problem? I definitely do. It's 2 days to a race. It's Wednesday, I got, 3. Let's say 3 days to a race. We got a bike, it looks complete, but it's not ready to go. We've got a bike that needs quite a bit of maintenance. I haven't checked tire pressures on this thing at all, and just cleaned the air filter. And it also needs a carb rejetting. It doesn't even run right. So we got 3 days to make this thing race worthy. Sounds easy enough. Normal everyday kind of stuff.
Quick tech tip, if you want to change out a jet and a dirt bike in a hurry, just tip your carburetor out sideways. Big old bolt at the bottom that you can remove that, and you can pull out your jets pretty simply. Just long socket, get them out, or a screwdriver, depending on the style. I don't know if you can read that, but that there is a 180 jet. Stock jet on an RM 250 is a 172. So, runs a bit fat in the top. We got 170, 172, and a 175. I guess we'll see which one works the best. Let's start with that 172 and go from there.
Let's see if that 172 jet works out any better.
Well, it's currently a little tough to say how it's running until I actually get it through, run it through its paces a bit here. So we're just gonna go in the back and just work on some wheelies and see if she bogs out a little bit in certain places or what happens. Well, it starts about the same as before. Not necessarily a great sign. Bit of a mid-verbal. I almost feel like moving that, I don't really feel like moving that needle, because that needle's a pain in the ass. Oh, jackrabbit. We don't want to kill that thing. Oh, another fucking jackrabbit. Holy shit. These guys are coming in here early this year. And she doesn't stall when I stop. Right there, she's unhappy. Wide open, she's good. Right in the middle, she's not. She's happy there. Yeah, I should probably move the needle on one clip.
She seems to be a little bit on the rich side. So we're gonna drop the needle position down one clip because it seems to be right in the middle. It's running a bit fat. Maybe on top a little fat. That 172 is better, significantly better than that 180. That 180 bogged real bad. Now, there might be something else wrong in here because I'm seeing a little bit of water coming out of that, the power valve breather, which the power valve breather goes directly into the engine itself. So if there's water coming out of there, I don't know, maybe we're leaking antifreeze into the cylinder, and that won't be very good. The first thing you check if you suspect that you're burning coolant is you check inside your coolant. Oil floats on top of water and coolant, and it's hard to tell in there. Let's see if we can tip it over and get some light in there. But I don't see any oil. I'm gonna have to take my word for it. I don't see any oil in there. Next thing we're gonna want to diagnose is the spark plug. We're gonna want to check that, see how she's doing. She's obviously running a bit rich still, quite rich. Also, for anybody wondering, you can in fact take the top cap off these PWKs inside the frame of an RM250. Just got to make sure that you remove the bottom drain bolt out, and then you can rotate the, obviously you got to take the fuel hose off, and then you can rotate the carburetor completely around and get access to the top here. Just make sure you take care not to bend up these cables all that much. Just squeeze them nice and gently through the frame. Just so everybody can get mad at me, I'm gonna move that clip from the third position up to the second position and lean it out a little bit. I didn't notice this before. Well, I kind of noticed it, but I glanced over it. But this isn't the stock needle out of this carburetor. I better go do some research, figure out what needle this is exactly. Well, according to my internet web research, the same diameter as a stock needle. Where was that information? Somewhere over here. Right there. 2.725 millimeters. Just the taper's a little different and runs a bit richer in certain places. Which, well, what can you do? Let's move that clip over and see how well it performs. So for anyone yelling at me that the second clip on the needle is too lean, well, let me tell you two things. One, this thing's got an FMF fatty, which will drop that needle position to clip 3. Also, it's got 2-stage Boyson power reeds, which some people say depends on the bike, that you might need to drop the clip position even one step lower. So 2 isn't too far off from what really should be running in this bike. You know what? Half hour ago, we just pulled into the garage. Now it's just pouring. Friggin' lightning and everything. This is so strange because this is fall time. We usually get some rain in fall, but not like clear skies one minute and then lightning and thunder the next. It's pretty nuts. Well, anyways, back to business. We gotta put some oil back in this bike, and I guess we're not running it and testing it today. I guess we're gonna have to wait till another day to try it out. I guess that'd be tomorrow. Oh well. Yeah, that's about the only way you can get oil into this thing. If you knew how many spark plugs this thing has eaten in the last year, you'd probably cry. So I'm not even gonna tell you. That is roughly how many spark plugs it's killed this season. Actually, I think there's about 4 more that are long since gone, but you get the idea. Here's another top tip for you guys who feel like your front suspension's doing a little bit of wonky things and you can't quite figure it out. Well, take out your big old axle pin and check the end of it. If it's got big old hammer marks on it, it's clearly someone never gave a shat about that bike. And this one's got big old hammer marks and a nice big burr. There is no way that that was not binding. So definitely suspension was binding. We're going to clean off the burrs off the edge of the suspension and then make sure that when we stick this pin in that both the forks are lined up proper, and I'll show you how to do that here. So now that that pin is free, we want to make sure we tighten up the big nut on this side here, big nut here, and then these two bolts on top. So now these guys are loose. This should be free, so you can see that this guy will move depending on how I pull or push it. Now, in order to get it lined up properly, what we gotta do, gotta give this wheel a nice old twirl, and hammer on the front brakes. Do that about 3 times, and she'll line up right where she wants to be. And you see, it's usually sitting past flush, so when you hammer on it, you're essentially binding that fork. You're putting the 2 forks way too close together, and that causes a problem. So guarantee you this thing was bound up. So as you can tell, the bike's out of the shop. We took her out today. We ran her for a little bit, and it seems as though that needle position seemed to help a lot. We also put a 170 main in it, and it works really good. The only problem is the clutch sticks just a hair, and what happens when you sort of decelerate, the clutch sort of sticks and holds the engine back and sort of wants to stall, so you got to blip the throttle a little bit to keep her going. But other than that, I think we're ready for the race. Now we're just cleaning up, and obviously, most important thing is we got to modify this jerry can so we know that it's ours. Now that jerry can is race ready, because it's a jerry can that's used in a race.